Oh yeah. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. A Texas teen has been found not guilty for deleting another child. Stabbed another child. That's what happened, right? Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, let me see. Go to this new scene. Let's see if I can get that up there. No, I don't want to get that. Man, how I get to that? There we go. There we go. There we go. I like that. I like that. Hold up. How I get that back like how I had it. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go. Oh, yeah. Let's go, Cassandra. I got somebody in the building with me early in the morning, early bird. What up, Cassandra? And we about to get into this, right? We about to get into this right now. Because I got something I want to present to y'all. Let me share my screen. Right? Boom. Let's get into it. And they talk about we're gonna go into Jason Whitlock. We're gonna go into all of this, right? So in 2022, right when kids are supposed to be in school trying to keep themselves safe from the pandemic, we supposed to be practicing social distancing. Yeah, we're supposed to be practicing social distancing. But yet this Caucasian child, this white child in Texas stabbed a Hispanic child to death multiple times. We're going to talk about it. Let's go over it. Let's go over it. Let's go over it. Let's go over it. Texas teen found not guilty of murder and stabbing death of fellow student during bathroom brawl. Put a one in the chat if you can still hear me. Make sure my internet running good. Stop sharing that right now. Let's see if I can just present it from here. See if that don't make it go a little better. Yeah. I'm gonna get rid of that background. I'm gonna get rid of this background so I ain't gotta we'll take that away. Take that brown away. There we go. Yeah, so the stream better. Yeah. There we go. Let's go into this, right? This white child stabbed this Hispanic child to death. A teenager who fatally stabbed a fellow student during a fight at school was found not guilty of murder by jury. He was found not guilty. They found him not guilty of murder today. And the white community, the white community was so the white community was so quiet about this because they did not want this to come out. They did not want nobody to talk about this case. They didn't want nobody to talk about this case happened in 2022, right? Casey Allison, right? Casey Allison, 21. At the time, he was like 18. At the time, he was like 18 when the incident happened. When the incident happened, he was like 18, I believe. But Casey Allison, 21, waived his rights against self-incrimination and confession of killing Jose Luis Ramirez Jr., 18, on May 3rd, 2022, at Belton High School, according to an arrest affidavit obtained by people, right? So Casey Allison took a knife to school. Not a school game, not a school football game, not a basketball game, not a school event that was off school grounds or school property. He took a knife to school during school hours. You're not going to hear white people talk about this case like that. You're not. You're just not. You're just not. Defense attorney Zachary Board argued in both his opening and closing statement that Allison's actions that day were all in self-defense. His lawyer said that what Allison did that day in school was all in self-defense. Why come he didn't square up and fight that little Mexican boy? Fight that little Mexican boy. Where was your American merit? Where was his merit at? Right? We're going to talk about this, right? After he found himself being forced to fight Ramirez of his friends. So what they're arguing is Allison or Casey Allison was going to be jumped by a bunch of Mexican kids. So he premeditated and brought a knife to school. That argument with jurors who given the opinion of convicting Allison of murder, manslaughter, or criminally negligent homicide, opted for the lowest of the three charges: criminally negligent homicide. And you hear all these people saying, "No child, I don't want to send my child to a football game. My child died, or my child gets stabbed. I don't want to send my child to a track meet, and my child get stabbed. I don't want to send my child to any and they lose their life." Well, that Mexican family didn't want to send their child to school to learn, and he lose his life. Carmelo's Anthony will reference this case as a precedent. He will have to. He will have to. But see, the thing about it is, we think that Karmelo Anthony received the same justice as Casey Allison. But will he? When we have Jason Whitlock and Jason Whitlock, Charleston White, all these so-called conservatives speaking against the actual law. I'm going to show you how conservatives don't believe in constitutional rights, and they don't even believe in the Constitution. I'm going to prove that to you. I'm going to prove it, which is making me really think twice about me even rocking with conservatism. Because when I think about conservatism, I don't think about what these people are doing. Making me look at conservatism way different because of their behavior. They're making me look at conservatism way different because it ain't what I, it ain't the conservatism I practice. The conservatism that they practice is not what I do. They're on some other stuff. Anyway, they're trying to take a constitutional rights away from you. That's their conservatism. It's crazy, right? The jury deliberated 12 hours in total before returning with their verdict. Allison will now be back in court on June 19th for a sentencing hearing, at which the time he will face anywhere from 6 months to 2 years in state jail facility, as well as a fine up to $10,000. So a Mexican child's life is worth $10,000 in 6 months in jail, maybe a year. He ain't gonna 2 years at the most, 6 months at the least. But $10,000 and $10,000 and a couple of months in jail. You know, it's, it's crazy. Self-hated, exactly. So that's what a Mexican child's life is worth. $10,000 and a couple of months in jail. That's what this young man's worth, right? In America, right? They want Carmelo Anthony to do life in prison, which is the district attorney has already taken life away. He's taking the death penalty away too, of course. But they want him to do life. They wanted him to do life in prison, but they want him now that life is off the table. They want him to do 10 to 15, 7 with good behavior. But yet, when a white child takes a knife to a school and stabs a Mexican child to death, 6 months, $10,000, which he'll get a GoFundMe to pay that, right? And GoFundMe is getting paid off all this death. Because even Joe Ramirez has a GoFundMe. Everybody has a GoFundMe. GoFundMe is making money off all this death. We need to investigate GoFundMe. GoFundMe is making a lot of money off all this death of our children. But anyway, we'll talk about that a little later. During the trial, a recording made by one of Ramirez's friends showing the fight between the men and the stabbing was presented to the jurors. Ramirez is allegedly seen throwing a punch at Allison in the recording. That's simple assault. A simple assault. I thought you let the white people tell it. Simple assault. You let the white people and the conservatives that hate Karmelo, you let them tell it. Simple assault is not warranted deadly force. This is what are y'all talking about? As conservatives, your literal argument is simple assault is not worth deadly force. Does not warrant deadly force. I heard he was also attacked from the back too with the knife. He was Cassandra. He was stabbed in the back. There was Casey Allison stabbed this Hispanic boy in the buttocks, in the gluteus maximus, down to the pelvis. This crazy. Stabbed a young man in the butt. That's some craziness. And in the back. Right? Ramirez is allegedly seen throwing a punch at Allison in that recording, in which that time Allison swung back at Ramirez with a knife in his hand, according to the documents. So the Mexican boy threw a simple assault punch, and the white boy responds with a punch and a knife, which is a slash. That's a slash. There's no such thing as a punch with a knife. When it comes down to white America, that's a punch with a knife. But in reality, that's a slashing. You have a stabbing, which is a forward motion, and when you're impaling, then you have what we call a slashing, if he's punching with a knife, he's more than likely slashing with the knife. So that's more of a slashing. So there was slash marks. So you have slash marks and stabbing marks, right? You have slashing and stabbing marks on Ramirez's body. So this is not just self-defense. Okay. Slashing is not associated with self-defense. Stabbing stabbing a lot of times is associated with self-defense, but slashing not so much. If you it's not so much a person is really a person is in really a person is really in impending doom of losing their life, they don't slash. They stab. You know what I'm saying? So slashing is not considered as much of a self-defense because it's weird how it's interpreted or how I see it interpreted, but slashing is not associated with defense. That's more on that's more kind of on the offense, really, when you slashing somebody. But anyway, defensively you can stab somebody. You can definitely slash their ass, and that's what he was doing to Ramirez, slashing. The video then ends with Allison allegedly cornering Ramirez. So then he then became the aggressor. At the time, the other teenagers all fled the bathroom because the white boy went on a stabbing spree, a slashing spree. Security cameras at the school then captured Ramirez leaving the bathroom and collapsing in the hallway, according to the affidavit. The video also where is this group of Mexicans? Where are these MS-13? Where are these Mexican mafia? Where's this big group of Mexicans at? Where are they at? All I see is 1 versus 1. But all I see is 1v1, 1 versus 1 person. One person had a knife and stabbed the other child to death. The videos also show blood pooling beneath his body, per the affidavit. So he stabbed and slashed this Mexican child to death. Despite the effort of the school nurse who rushed to Ramirez and began administering life-saving care, this white boy stabbed and slashed this Mexican kid up so bad that the school nurse couldn't even get to him and put pressure to his wounds to conserve his blood to his body. That's how deep those cuts were. So there had to be some arterial bleeding and some vital organs that were also impacted as well. The teenager was pronounced dead soon after arriving at a local hospital. An autopsy report said that Ramirez had stab wounds to his chest, back, legs, and arms. What up, Shatira? How you doing, sweetheart? Giving me some what? Yes. Giving you some news you can use. So this white boy, Grayson Allison, down here in Texas, in Belmont, about 2 hours from Dallas. I'm in Dallas. I'm in Arlington. Arlington. Then you got Dallas that's next to me. Then you got Fort Worth. I'm real close to Fort Worth. Then you also have North Texas, which is I'm not too far from Frisco. About 45, about 30, 40 minutes from where I'm at. But about 2 hours from where we're at, about an hour and a half from where we're at in Belmont, you got little white boys stabbing Mexican kids to death in school. In school. Not at no school event. Actually in school hours. You hear white people say, well, why come the kids, why come he didn't fight them? Why come he didn't fight him like a man? Yeah, why come this? Why? Yeah, here we go. Police arrested Allison that same day after questioning him at his home. At the time, Allison to the crime, just like Carmelo Anthony, and informed a detective where to find the knife he used to stab Ramirez, according to the affidavit. So not only did he stab this Hispanic young man to the death, Mr. Ramirez, bless his soul, he also hid the weapon. The Bell County's attorney office, who prosecuted the case at Allison, lawyer did not respond to the request for comment. Did not respond to lawyers for comments. Now that is some wild. That is some wild stuff. If you look this, yo, shout out to Jalen. Yo, shout out to Jalen, man. This is actually coming from Jalen. You know, Jalen, everybody be sleeping on Jalen. Everybody be sleeping on Jalen. Jalen, you're the man. Speak. Let me subscribe to Jalen real quick. Subscribe to Jalen, dog. Because Jalen actually has this. Let's play it.
To fight. That's what two former Belton High students said about Case and Allison in court today.
The trial of the suspect accused of stabbing and killing Bell County, bringing 4 new witnesses to the stand.
News 10's Madison Herber has been in court all day and joins us live now with more on what was uncovered. Madison.
Good evening, Lauren and Gordon. The witnesses included 2 people who were former students that were in the bathroom the day that fight broke out. Tito Shamel and Angel Murillo. Shamel explained to the court that he was a good friend of Joe Ramirez and was in the bathroom with Ramirez and Allison when chaos ensued, and he even caught a portion of that altercation on video, which was shared today with the jury. And there was also a Belton Police Department detective who revealed the crime photos from that day. And then there was also a friend of Allison's and an acquaintance of Ramirez, Raina Barber. She took the stand and explained to the court how she was trying to calm Ramirez down just moments before the fight broke out. Now, the photos from the crime scene followed a trail of blood droplets around part of the leading to a pool of blood where Ramirez collapsed. The detective getting photos of the scene, he talked to a witness who provided a statement and video of the fight that started in the bathroom. Video was replayed from yesterday showing the school hallway where you see the boys entering the bathroom and then leaving sometime later in a rush. And then the short video caught on Shamel's phone of what happened on the other side of the door was played. Shamel explaining that what he caught on video shows Ramirez taking the first swing at Allison, and then you see Allison pull out the knife before a loud scream is heard and the video cuts off. Barber said Allison didn't want to fight and just wanted to make it to graduation. And Shamel said in the moment, it didn't look like Allison wanted to fight. Barber also said that Ramirez and his friends were known to fight, and Shamel saying Ramirez liked having his fights recorded, and that this fight was planned, but no one expected it to happen on school grounds. Barber said it wasn't normal for Allison to have a knife on him, but she knew he had one because Allison told her he got one for protection. An altercation was described by former students that an argument broke out at a prom after party, and it was likely that Ramirez and Allison verbally fought over a girl. Shamel told the court what.
So that's why a lot of, so what they did is they tried to mix this case into the Carmelo Anthony case. Shout out to the brother Jalen. Because that's why you hear so many people saying, well, Carmelo knew him before. No, Carmelo did not know him before. That's why you hear people saying, well, they were fighting over a girl at a party before. No, they were not. Even I was confused about that information. It's because they were talking about this case. They just wouldn't talk about this case. But so we can hide, we can talk about potentially what we're gonna, how we're gonna let this kid off by hiding it behind the Carmelo Anthony case, and then let them kids lie for him. Yes, they did. It's because they knew he had a knife. This was premeditated. He knew that he was going to that bathroom and fight that Hispanic boy. He knew that Hispanic boy was going to just fight him with hands, feet, knees, and toes. Like, I guess I stole that from Izzy. But but they knew that he was going to get into a regular fight. Like white people say, where's your merit at? Why won't you fight like a man? He knew that a Hispanic kid was going to fight him like a young man. And this white boy had wimpy white boy syndrome and bought a knife.
That Ramirez looked surprised to see Allison in the bathroom that day, and you could feel the tension between the two. Barbara is seen talking to Ramirez on the hallway security footage, visibly upset. She started to cry as she explained to the court that she was trying to tell Ramirez that the fight isn't worth it because they are about to graduate. Court wrapped for the day just 20 minutes after a fifth witness was brought in, Josh Grimes, another good friend of Ramirez, who was also in the bathroom when the fight started. So they will be back here tomorrow morning at 9, where the defense will continue to question Grimes. Reporting
That is crazy. That's crazy right there, right? Let's get into it. We're gonna get into it when they even drop the information. And guess who they got to drop the information to the people? Some black people. So breaking verdict return on trial of Kason Allison. This happened literally 17 hours ago. It only has 676 views. 17 hours ago. Let's read the comments for a second. Usual suspect again, folks. So he has a verbal dispute at the prom and asks his friends to get him. His friend refuses and gets a knife days before the fight and says it's for protection. He brandishes the weapon before any fighting happened and then proceeds to stab him 4 times. And somehow this isn't murder. Did somebody he wanted to come on now? It says usual suspect. It says, you see this? I want you to see this, right? I want you to see this. I want you to see this, right? Hold on. I want y'all to see this, though. I want y'all to see this, right? I want y'all to see that. Look, y'all see that, right? It says good luck, Karmelo. You see that? Good luck, Karmelo. They can't even stay on this case. I'm not surprised Karmelo got put on the back burner by yeah, by Shannon Sharp and Shador. Yeah, they put it on the back burner. So this white boy just got off from killing a Mexican kid, right? And the first thing they want to talk about is Carmelo Anthony. But I want you to look at this comment right here, though, right? Right. So he has a verbal dispute at the prom and asks his friend to get him a gun. His friend refuses and gets a knife days before the fight and says it's for protection. He brandishes the weapon before any fight happened and then proceeded to stab him 4 times, and somehow this isn't murder. You will never, Officer Tatum and them ain't gonna cover this. Officer Tatum, Fantastic and them, no, they're not gonna cover this.
Some breaking news right now as a jury has just returned a verdict in the trial of Casey Allison.
Of course, 6 News has continued to stay on top of this. He was charged with criminally negligent homicide. I want to send this straight over to 6 News reporter Sydney Walker. She's been following this trial from the very beginning.
Yeah, Allison faces a range of 180 days to 2 years in state jail or 2 to 10 years in prison, plus a fine of up to $10,000. He had pled not guilty to these charges. The state had the burden of proof, meaning they had to prove the jury Allison was guilty instead of the defense having to prove innocence. Based on the verdict, the 12 members of the jury reached the required unanimous decision and believed that the state proved beyond reason.
Unanimous. What up, Bruce Almighty? What up, Bruce? Good to see you, brother. Cassandra, Shatera, thank y'all for being here with me. Unanimous.
Reasonable doubt that Allison had acted criminally negligent, resulting in the death of an individual, Joe Ramirez. The state presented 1 charge of murder, but gave 3 separate theories on those means of murder. The jury did not have to agree on which method or any method at all, which from this verdict, we can see that they did not agree on that, finding him not guilty of the charge of murder. After that, the jury then had to consider self-defense. There were 2 elements to that to consider if it was prove self-defense for the matter. They are the act was not immediately necessary and the act was not reasonable. Both elements the jury agreed.
It was not immediately that he stabbed Ramirez after throwing 1 punch. Simple assault does not warrant force. I thought white America. No, come on, white America. This is white America. Isn't this what y'all told us? This is what y'all told the black and the colored folks, that simple assault does not warrant deadly force, especially premeditated deadly force. Come on now, y'all gotta do better than this.
With clearly. This then brought them to the charge of manslaughter, meaning he acted in a reckless mental state after they found Allison not guilty of this charge and agreed with clearly. This then brought them to the charge of manslaughter, meaning he acted in a reckless mental state. After they charge of manslaughter, meaning he acted in a reckless mental state after brought them to the charge of manslaughter, meaning he acted in a reckless mental
state after, and then they proceed to show him looking crazy. So if they show Karmelo Anthony crazy, oh, he a criminal. If they show Grayson Allison looking crazy, oh, he was in a mental state. Listen to this.
After they found manslaughter, meaning he acted in a reckless mental state after they found Allison not guilty of this charge, they again had to consider self-defense, which they disproved again. They lastly considered criminally negligent homicide, which they found to be proven. Allison was guilty. In closing arguments, state said that, quote, no part of this was negligence and that Allison had acted intentionally. The defense said that this was not a case concerning murder, but instead an act done out of fear. In the end, the jury did
an act done out of fear. So wimpy white boy syndrome can exist. I'll tell you something. You got to be real careful. There's something called affluence. They stomped down kicking Shador Sanders' ass for practicing affluenza. Not influenza is a respiratory. It's the flu. Influenza is the flu. Is a virus of the mind when you think you are you think you're so entitled that you don't know right from wrong. That's affluenza. I'll show it to you. A kid in Texas got away with affluenza. A white boy in Texas got away with affluenza. after he ran over 4 Mexicans in a F-250 pickup truck.
Not agree with that charge of murder or the charge of manslaughter, but agreed that Allison had acted in criminal negligence, resulting in the death of Jose Ramirez Jr. almost 3 years ago to the day in that Belton High bathroom. Allison elected for sentencing by a judge, not the jury. So that is the next step, and sentencing will take place on June 16th at 9 a.m.
Okay, sit.
And they even lied about the court date in the article. The article said June 19th. They're telling you June 16th. You know why? Because they don't want nobody to know when they're going to actually have the sentencing, the day they're going to sentence him, so there won't be no protest there. You ain't going to protest when they're going to actually have the sentencing date. We don't know if the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th. You don't know. They playing with the date. They playing with the damn date. But now let me stuff right. This term affluenza. All right, let me show you this, right? So this is what they're saying. This is what they're saying Shador Sanders suffers from. It's called affluenza, right? I'm gonna blow it up, right? Affluenza is a term that describes the negative psychological and social effects of wealth, particularly the irresponsible behaviors and feelings of guilt or self-doubt that can accompany affluence. You know what I'm saying? Then they put influenza there, suggesting a contagious negative condition, while in terms has its legal context as a defense. It's not recognized medical diagnosis. I want you to be careful. I want y'all to be careful with this, right? I want y'all to be real careful with this, right? Affluenza and influenza suggesting a contagious negative condition. While the term has been used in legal context as a defense, it's not recognized medical diagnosis, right? So we're gonna read this whole thing one more time. Affluenza is a term that describes the negative psychological and social effects of wealth, particularly the irresponsible behaviors and feelings of guilt or self-doubt that can accompany affluence. Is I don't even know what that word is, man. Affluence and influenza, suggesting a contagious negative condition. While the term has been used in legal context as a defense, it's not recognized medical diagnosis. Yeah. So we got a lot of these white boys running around here with affluenza mentality, entitled, and there's a lot of them ain't even got no damn wealth. And that's what they're trying to. That's right. They want to shut Shador down for having affluenza, saying that he don't know no better. Oh, he better know better. He better know his place. When they out here stabbing people in schools, not knowing the time and the place, right? I know Shador ain't got no damn affluence. They out here tripping, right? But I'm gonna show y'all. We're gonna go into Jason Whitlock punk ass later, right? We're gonna go into Jason. He be tripping though. Hold on. I got y'all. I'm coming back. I'm coming back with some more stuff. I got to just for y'all. I got to just load this up for y'all. Cause they trying to they trying to hide this shit. They trying to hide this shit. Here we They trying to hide this shit. They trying to hide this shit. Well, I got y'all though. I got y'all. Oh no, this ain't the moderator only conference. I have a small chat. Really, everyone pretty much get a moderator on my channel. It's a small channel. We just talk a lot of trash.
Affluenza teen is expected to appear before the mother of the so-called affluenza teen is expected to appear before a Texas judge today. Tanya Couch returned to Fort Worth Thursday after more than a week in a Los Angeles jail. She is facing felony charges for allegedly helping her son Ethan escape to Mexico. Well, he is being held at an immigration facility in Mexico City. Manuel Bajorquez is outside the Texas courthouse where Tanya Couch is expected to appear. Manuel, good morning.
Good morning. Even before Tanya Couch appears before the judge, her attorneys have already filed a motion saying her $1 million bail is too high and that if released, a GPS.
So she helps her son escape the country after suffering affluenza, running over people. I think they killed about 4 or 5 Mexican people that night. I think her son ran over about 4 or 5 Mexican people that night, and she helped her son escape to Mexico. Hold on, they ran over about 4 or 5 Mexicans, then escaped to Mexico. Then they said the bail was too high. But yet Carmelo Anthony is wrong for saying his bail is too high for stabbing one child in self-defense. This is crazy, dog. Y'all got to come to Texas and see how this shit is wild. It's
GPS monitoring device will make sure she does not run away. Tanya Couch kept her head down as she was escorted off the plane at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport Thursday. Texas authorities quickly loaded her into a black SUV waiting on the tarmac.
So you're just on vacation?
Passenger Matt Hackler didn't realize the woman known as the affluenza mom was on his American Airlines flight.
When we landed, I noticed there was more police officers than usual around the jet bridge. I assumed it was for these celebrities on board because Ted Danson was on the plane.
The 48-year-old was moved to a prisoner transport van and driven to the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office for booking. Both her hands and
Fort Worth, more of this North Texas. So it's not just Frisco. North Texas out of line right now, yo. The whole North Texas is out of line.
and feet were shackled as she walked into the station.
She was very quiet, very reserved. She was respectful, and surprisingly, she was very appreciative.
Mexican officials detained Couch and her son Ethan in Puerto Vallarta last week. The 18-year-old is serving 10 years of juvenile probation in Texas for killing 4 people in a 2013 drunk driving crash when he allegedly fled.
He killed 4 people drinking and driving. Then he claimed that, you know what, I was drunk, I was driving, I just got so much money, I don't even know any better. And this is not Deion Sanders' son, this is not Archie Manning's son, this is not Shaquille O'Neal's son, this ain't Michael Jordan's son. We don't know his damn mama and daddy. His mama is famous for helping her son escape to Mexico after killing 4 Mexicans. You cannot make this shit up. And then they got so much money and they so affluent, they don't know any better that $1 million bail is too much money. Lower my bail. After this, you cannot make this shit up.
Angeles jail. She is facing felony charges for allegedly helping her son. Influenza teen is expected to appear before a Texas judge today. Tanya Couch returned to Fort Worth Thursday after more than a week in a Los Angeles jail. She is facing felony charges for allegedly helping her son Ethan escape to Mexico. Well, he is being held at an immigration facility in Mexico City. Manuel Bajorquez is outside the Texas courthouse where Tanya Couch is expected to appear. Manuel, good morning.
Good morning. Even before Tanya Couch appears before the judge, her attorneys have already filed a motion saying her $1 million bail is too high and that if released, a GPS monitoring device will make sure she not run away.
Well, hold on. We've established through through Ramirez's life that a young Mexican male is only worth $10,000. So if her affluenza son killed 4 Mexicans, that's 40,000. I guess $1 million is too much. $1 million is too much then. If a Mexican's life is only worth $10,000, and I guess that's all Ramirez's life is worth to y'all.
Away. Tanya Couch kept her head down as she was escorted off the plane at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport Thursday. Texas authorities quickly loaded her into a black SUV waiting on the tarmac. So you're just on vacation? Passenger Matt Hackler didn't realize the woman known as the Affluenza Mom was on his American Airlines flight.
When we landed, I noticed there was more police officers than usual around the jet bridge. I assumed it was for these celebrities on board because Ted Danson was on the plane.
The 48-year-old was moved to a prisoner transport van and driven to the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office for booking. Both her hands and feet were shackled as she walked into the station.
She was very quiet, very reserved. She was respectful, and surprisingly, she was very appreciative.
Mexican officials detained Couch and her son Ethan in Puerto Vallarta last week. The 18-year-old is serving 10 years of juvenile probation in Texas for killing 4 people in a 2013 drunk driving crash. When he allegedly fled to Mexico with his mother, he violated that probation. Couch is now fighting deportation back to the U.S. at an immigration facility in Mexico City.
So this white boy in Texas kills 4 Mexican people, claims affluenza, flees to Mexico, and then fights America not to be deported back to America. You cannot make this shit up, dog.
City. The building is under 24-hour. He violated that probation. Couch is now fighting deportation back to the U.S. at an immigration facility in Mexico City. The building is under 24-hour-a-day surveillance. Occupants sleep on thin foam mattresses and aren't allowed phone or computer access. Ethan Couch's is a much more complicated process. Are you confident that you will get him back?
It's not a question of if he's coming back. It's a question of when he's coming back. We're paying.
How did he kill 4 Mexicans drinking and driving? And see, this goes against what you technically think. See, down here in Texas, they would love to tell you that Mexicans are down here drinking and driving and killing people. And which is, that does happen. We're not gonna lie, we're not gonna act like that don't happen. But they get deported or put in jail. Well, some of them do flee to Mexico too. Some of them do exactly what he did. Anyway, he killed 4 Mexicans. He deported himself to Mexico after claiming an affluenza. And now they're saying they're having a hard time deporting him back to America. How in the world is that even real?
Patient. We'll wait. We'll be here.
More complicated process. Are you confident that you will get him back?
It's not a question of if he's coming back. It's a question of when he's coming back. We're patient. We'll wait. We'll be here.
It's not yet clear when a decision on Ethan Couch in Mexico will be made. As for his.
So the Mexicans, after killing in America, Mexico literally helped this white boy hide out in Mexico? Mexico, y'all got to stop doing y'all got to stop doing this to yourselves, man. I know the Mexican community in Belton, Texas, y'all got to stop doing this to yourselves, man. Stop letting people just beat y'all up. What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? We got y'all. Black people know we may not be perfect, yo. We may not be perfect. We may not be perfect at all, which is hell no. We know we ain't perfect. However, you cannot. You can't beat. You just can't. Dog. You just not gonna beat us up that long. You just can't continue to beat us up that long, man. This young kid ran over four people, then flew to Mexico, hid out of Mexico, and Mexico wouldn't just send his ass back to America. He can go to El Salvadorian prison. And y'all didn't just send and Mexico didn't just ship his ass back and his mama American dollars. Y'all let Grayson Allison come in that schoolhouse and slash and your young Mexican sons to death. That young man could have been a boxer one day. How do we not know? As much as boxing is a part of the Hispanic or culture, all that little high school fighting that he doing could have turned into him being a professional boxer or professional MMA. You know, Hispanic people are also in the MMA world. We don't know if he would always come on now, but it's okay to cut his life short and label him as a gang member that like to always fight. That made it okay for Grayson Allison to bring a knife like a Viking into that school and stab that in the back, in the arms, and in the legs. Now I don't even want to play up the racial aspect, but you can't help but understand the racial implications. Wrong is wrong, right? Simple assault shouldn't warrant deadly force, right? Let's take all the race out of it, right? Well, none of that. It don't match. It don't match. Now we got to get into damn Jason Whitlock. He's a damn sinner. Jason Whitlock's a sinner. Jason Whitlock's a sinner. He's a sinner. And he's a sinner. That's all I can say about Jason. He's a straight up sinner. He's a sinner. We gotta get his ass out. We gotta definitely saying we definitely got to combat what Jason Whitlock is saying. Yeah, man. Grayson Allen came to Viking that day. What the hell is wrong with you, man? Ice pick knife the school, kids to death. Like, yo, my man Karmelo hit Austin Metcalf with one stab and dashed off. This white boy flashed, cornered, and finished the job like that shit is crazy. But we're gonna go into Jason Whitlock whole ass right now. See, Jason Whitlock is down here in Texas at the Glenn Beck Studios, and this is where I hate to say it, Nick Fuentes is right about Jason Whitlock. He's doing whatever he can do to stay in them Glenn Beck studios. Using Christianity. I do not agree with this usage of conservatism or Christianity. The way they're using conservatism and Christianity socially, I think is nasty word.
Influencers over social media, one of the great voices for the conservative and America First movement, and Jack, someone with an excellent take on the movie Sinners. You guys have seen me talk about it on this show with Shamika, seen me talk about it with Anthony, Virgil, and Kevin. But Jack started tweeting about it yesterday, I believe, and I started responding. And Jack is a strong Catholic. He's a strong, again.
At all. As a Christian, Catholics pray to different saints that Christians just don't pray to. So how he's trying to play this whole Catholic thing is, are you a Catholic or are you a Christian? Christians have a whole, we got the Trinity. They got all stuff. So Jason, you out of line even spiritual.
Bold person that's willing to stand up to the kind of bigotry that's being directed at white Americans. And, you know, anything that I've seen in pop culture over the past couple of years, this movie I found to be the most offensive, the most blatantly and nakedly anti-white movie I've seen. And
so Sinners is more anti-white than Django. They singing crazy. Right? Right. Anyway, see, here's gonna go right into Karmelo Anthony. This is gonna go into Karmelo Anthony real quick. They're hiding behind movies, they're hiding behind culture, they're hiding behind Christianity, they're hiding behind conservatism. They're trying to put layers to their self-hate and hatred of just black people, black men, Mexican men. Hell, I think even white young men. I think some white young men just want to be prosperous and do their damn thing. They're making those white guys have to fight an uphill battle. They shouldn't have to fight because of the division in the. We're gonna go into it.
I'm looking at young people eat it up, particularly young Black Americans, and I'm looking at box office sales that are really strong that will be enticing to movie makers. Like, oh, maybe I can make a movie like Sinners and make money off of it because there seems to be a strong appetite for it. Jack pointed out over social media yesterday, and let's pull Jack up, that this is just a remake, a spoof of Dusk Till Dawn, a George Clooney movie that I haven't seen, but I did read up on it and I'm going to watch it this week. But Jack, I want to give you a second here just to unpack your thoughts and how this movie hit, and I'm sure you've seen the movie, but how this movie struck you.
No, I have, Jason. Thanks so much for having me on. And, you know, this was a film where, look, I like horror movies. I'm a fan of the genre. And, you know, different movies are coming out, and some friends of mine, we always sort of chat about, hey, what's the, you know, latest and greatest film that's out? And a lot of people are saying Sinners. Go see Sinners. It's the next best thing. This is the hot thing. Of course, I track box office because I think box office is important in America. When you look at something like Snow White, absolutely tanking, say, okay, is wokeness done? You know, maybe that version of wokeness is, and we don't like people messing around with Snow White. And then a movie like King of Kings comes out and is breaking records for an animated biblical film that shows there really is a strong audience for that from the great guys over at Angel Guild. And everyone's got to go and support what Angel is doing and join the Angel Guild, because I think it's phenomenal what they're doing.
Selling your car to Carvana is easier than you think. In just seconds, we can give you a real offer good for 7 days.
And then Sinners comes out.
So we're running poor YouTube, yo. We running poor YouTube. We're running a poor YouTube channel. We like say small poor channel. Keep it going.
The next week, so I was already tracking the box office, and they said Sinners is going #1, it's going to the top, and I said, well, what is this? And I start watching it. I said, wait a minute, this is, first of all, the very first thing that struck me was I said, this is the exact same plot as Dusk Till Dawn. It is a
Okay, so that's the first lie. This movie is not from Dusk Till Dawn. It starts different. It ends different. It completely is different. But here we go. You got conservatives hiding behind Mexicans that they want to deport. Just like that's the reason why Mexicans wasn't in the movie then. Because they asses got deported.
Xerox of the Dusk Till Dawn like plot points from Quentin Tarantino. It was the first movie that he wrote after, or at least it came out after Pulp Fiction, you know, right in the heyday of Tarantino. And Tarantino actually acts in as one of the main characters in Dusk Till Dawn. It's two brothers, the same way this is two brothers. One's, you know, sort of more cunning, the other one's more impulsive. One turns into a vampire, one doesn't. Tarantino actually turns into the vampire in his, although it's him and George Clooney, and whereas this one it's Michael B. Jordan twice. And what it came down to, though, was I said, wait a minute, this is just anti-white hatred. It is
anti-white hatred. Shout out to Jason with No White Guild. Give Jason from No White Guild. Forget Jason Whitlock. There's this white guy on the internet called Jason. He has a channel called No White Guild. Honestly, these white people are stealing YouTube content because, like, I watch and see a lot of stuff on YouTube. I'm all over the internet from time to time, watching what people are saying and doing, taking the culture of YouTube, right? The YouTube streets. This whole anti-white movement, in that whole term, they stole from this in particular YouTuber. But we're not going to talk about that.
Anti-white hatred. This is Jordan twice. And what it came down to it, though, was I said, wait a minute, this is just anti-white hatred. It is anti-white hatred. This is like...
Now, this is where I disagree with him about it being anti-white hatred. He says... This is anti-white hatred because the story was about white folks. No. This story wasn't even about white folks. Check this, right? I find it mighty funny, right? So the mixed girl, the very girl that they show right now, that Michael B. Jordan was dancing with, right? I don't know if it was, I forgot which twin it was, whether it was Smoke or the other one. She was biracial, whatever, but she lived over with white people, and the white people lived on the other side of the tracks, far away from the juke joint. You have to ask yourself, right? Why were the Irish even? Why did the Irish have more proximity to the blacks at the juke joint opposed to having proximity to the whites across the railroad tracks? Reason why the whole Asians were there, right? So why did the Irish have proximity to the blacks and not to the whites on the other side of the railroad track? It's because white people didn't consider Irish white. So when this white guy in 2025 tries to use, when this white guy right now tries to use anti-white as an argument, theoretically he can't. There's a reason why those Irish people were hanging out closer to the black people, opposed to hanging closer to white people, because y'all didn't consider consider them white. Exactly. The Irish weren't white yet. So this white guy in 2025 is hiding behind Mexicans that they deported at the time, and he's hiding behind Irish that weren't even white at the time. They didn't even rock with the Irish at the time. But yet now in 2025, the Irish are being used as a symbol of anti-white. You cannot make this up, dog.
Dusk till dawn for the Black Lives Matter radicals. And it's cultural looting. It is cultural looting of what they did, taking that story from Quentin Tarantino.
Damn, he accusing black people of cultural appropriation. Wow. This is nasty work. You're trying to accuse black people of practicing cultural appropriation while you are actually culturally appropriating. You're culturally appropriating the Irish man. Call him a white man now at the time. Come on, man. You out of line, dog. Right? And then they're gonna show again the mixed girl. They know what they doing, but it's just not that. They're not. It's not that smart.
Oh, and that great film, which is just a fun, campy, B-movie horror. That was set in Mexico. This is set in the Deep South. They both got musical overtones. Cinematography was good, right? I'm willing to give them credit for that. The cinematography was really good, and the music was, certainly fine. All the guitar solos, I like that. I like Robert Johnson, actually, by the way. My brother's a huge Robert Johnson fan. But when you watch the movie, right, it's still just another one of those films, just like the same vein as Jordan, right? By the way, my brother's a huge Robert Johnson fan. But when you...
He's a huge Robert Johnson fan. You remember the other day when I did this live stream, I was talking about Robert Johnson, the black man that sold his soul to the devil at the crossroad, Robert Johnson. I'm a huge Robert Johnson fan, but you're a Christian. No, you ain't. You just want to see the black man sell his soul.
Watch the movie, right? It's still just another one of those films, just like the same vein as Jordan Peele and those horror movies that he's been putting out, to say that all white people are secretly trying to oppress the black people, and the black people should rise up and oppose them. And in this film, get the revenge by, trying to kill them. And I get it, right? It's very ham-fisted too, because you read these reviews and they say, oh, it's so sophisticated. It's so sophisticated. It's not sophisticated. I get it. You have the juke.
Hold on. Yesterday, Jason Whitlock was saying this movie was too sophisticated. He didn't want to have to read into the movie and do all this homework. Now today this is a simple movie. It's not that smart. It's not that. It don't make that much sense. Which one is it? I think this movie has Jason and the conservatives in so much confusion. They don't even know what they're talking about. They're not even checking their own historical cues. You got this white guy talking about. You got this white guy talking about anti-whiteism, using Irish people as a symbol of it. And then you got this white guy on here the other day with us. I'm half Irish, half white. If you're half Irish, what is half Irish? I mean, I'm gonna have to replay that, because Jason Whitlock had a guy on his channel the other day that said I'm half Irish. So what does that mean? I'm gonna have to go back and replay that, because he asked about his channel the other day that said I'm half Irish.
So they got the juke spot, and that represents sort of, black Reconstruction era. Everything's going well, but then you have the white infiltrators, and then blues is sort of like the music of I get it. It's not really that complicated to figure out what you're doing here. And instead of having this plot where it's okay, we're all going to unite empires, it's very clear. It's
clear they united to fight the vampires. Your connection. Oh, my connection messing up. Damn, they trying to get me. Hold on, let me stop sharing. They trying to get me, man. Let me know if I'm back. Let me know if I'm back. Damn, they trying to get me. I think I'm back. I think I'm back though. Let me take this down. Let me try to. Damn, man, they always want to hate on me. I'm gonna take that banner down. Maybe that's slowing it up, son. Baby, come on, run strong. We're gonna go back into it.
People versus white people. And what's really interesting about this, because I was talking about it with a friend the other day, and I said, wait a minute, come to think of it, the movie Blade, you ever see that series Blade with Wesley Snipes back in the 90s?
Wesley Snipes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was a movie, right? Where, and it occurred to me, I said, you know what? That was a black vampire, but sort of an anti-vampire, right? So, and he was the hero, and the vampires were pretty much all white in the series. Now, they weren't all white because his mother was a vampire as well. But I remembered, I said, wait a minute, but
No, Blade's mother got bit by a vampire. Yeah, Blade's mother got bit by a vampire. Blade's mother was not a vampire. Blade's mother had got bit by a vampire. Then she turned, and then Blade turned as he was being birthed. And the reason why Blade accepted by mainstream culture is because it had a white Jesus. It had a white savior. I hate to say it. It's the truth. Blade had a white savior. Whistler, we talked about this yesterday. Whistler was Blade's savior. He looked after him. He kept him. He saved him. When the other white people had beat Blade up so bad, it was Whistler. It was Whistler who came and saved his black ass. So that movie had a white Jesus. Hold on. Let's stop talking. Let's stop there for a second, right? Let's stop there, right? Let's talk about Blade. Let's talk about Blade for a second. Before we get into this, because they're gonna go into the Karmelo Anthony thing. They can't help themselves. Blade for a second though. Because white guy was like, you know what? I like Blade. I really like that movie Blade, man. I was like, okay, cool. You like Blade. All right, cool, right? But Blade had a white Jesus, right? Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, people can see Blade and actually be, you know what? They can feel some type of, they can feel very proud to watch. Because even though there are a lot of other white people getting sliced up, you're right, that is true. A white man had to save Blade and keep Blade the entire time in that movie. So that movie don't really count. So I get what he's saying to a certain extent, but nah, Blade ain't it either. Blade ain't it. That ain't it.
It wasn't racial, right? It was just a human, or, in his case, a half human versus vampires. It was just a supernatural horror movie, and nobody had a problem with it.
I'll take Zesty Paws Pro hand served that makes my tummy happy. Bite size pet science.
Because there was no.
So first of all, don't forget this is a poor channel. This is a poor channel. We ain't getting YouTube Premium. It's a poor channel, all right? Blade was an action movie. Put a 1 in the chat if I'm still here. But Blade, let me stop sharing this. Blade was not a horror movie. It was an action film. Blade was not a horror movie. It was an action film. You're comparing genres that aren't. comparable. This is this sad Jason Whitlock. The thing that someone tried to come up here. Matter of fact, Smitty came up here the other day and shout to Smitty. Smitty, I was over there on his. He brought up Blade the other day. Think about it, Blade was not a horror movie. Yeah, Blade was not a horror movie. It was thanks, Cassandra. Blade was not a horror movie, it was an action movie. So they're comparing genres that aren't even compared. The line about history. This is a scary movie where they showing a black man walking around with vampire killing glocks. That is not no horror movie. He was doing cartwheels, backwards flips, slashing people, slashing just like Grayson Allison. Yeah. I've been in slashing like Grayson Allison. No, not like Karmelo Anthony. See, they trying to make Karmelo Anthony and Wesley Snipes some stabbers. No. Grayson Allison was slicing and stabbing like Blade. Talk about cultural appropriation.
Racial narrative whatsoever. Once again, that's a movie where you've got vampires and you did actually have thought of it this way, a racial sense to it, because it's not written that way. It's not written from a racial sense at all. There's no KKK members and all this stuff about the Deep South. It's just a fun movie that nobody ever had a problem with. But for some reason, Marvel never wants to talk about that because they came out, oh, well, actually, the first Marvel movie starring a black superhero was Black Panther. I said, wait a minute. Blade was a Marvel superhero and everybody liked Blade. And to try to tie it all together, who was the director of Black Panther? Well, the same director as Sinners. It was Ryan Coogler, the exact same guy. So it's very clear. This is a political, racial agenda that they put on top of the film, which, by the way, probably could have been a good movie. It looks good. You got great actors. Michael B. Jordan, he's a fantastic actor ever since The Wire. So, you've got all of the elements. It's just that they've got to have to throw this woke, racialized programming on top of everything.
And so they did do a few clever things to justify their racial narrative. And the number one thing they did was set it in 1932 Mississippi. Right. That's intentional. And so they believe like, hey, 1932 Mississippi, of course, the only way to make the movie is to cover the pandemic, because 1932 Mississippi, everywhere you went, it was just suffocating with racism, and you can't tell a story about 1932 Mississippi.
He wants you to tell the story of the South without talking about racism. Jason, what are you doing? And if you're talking about, look, the South has a history of racism, okay. And then also, vampires are not a 2025 thing. That's an old thing too. And vampires, okay, it's okay. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Without that element. But as you and I know, as moviegoers and people that like to think about movies, that's a choice. This movie could be told in 1982, 2002, 2022. Mm-hmm. They chose 1932, and they could have chosen any city. They chose Mississippi in 1932 on purpose.
Jason, the two main characters, the twins, they had came from Chicago, but they had went back to Mississippi. It showed the migration of black people from Mississippi and Chicago up, and they showed the music, how the music also traveled with them. I don't understand. Jason gets it. Oh, man. Okay, so what I'm hearing is they want black folks to tell the American story without racism. That's all they want. They want America to tell the story without racism. No white people getting stabbed, even stabbing, with a white savior that happens to be white. Better not be no black Christian. Better not be no black Jesus. Better not save yourselves. No black Jesus. Give me a white Jesus or Whistler. You know, this is some wild shit. But Jason, I guess Jason wants every black person to live like he lives under Glenn Beck. He wants us to live under like Jason Whitlock lives under Glenn Beck now. And I black person to find a white man that to directly live under. And I don't want to do that, Jason. I've decided I just nope. I'm not going to take that route in life, man. You know what? I'm not going to. I'm just giving Jason a hard time, man. But he does live up on the Glenn Beck too heavily, though, man. Like, dude, do your own thing, man. Wow.
To justify the racial narrative they wanted to promote.
Exactly. That was just so in script writing or storytelling. That has nothing to do with the actual plot. That is just the window dressing on top of it. That's the aesthetics. You can change out and that's basically what I'm talking about when I say they Xeroxed it from, they culturally eluded it from Dusk Till Dawn. Dusk Till Dawn is set in Mexico because they have to sneak across the border, and then they end up in this. I think it's actually where they get holed up, and then they're trying to.
Yeah, so he's cultural looting right now because he's skimming past that movie too. Like he skimmed past this movie. He's skimming past the Mexican movie because I guess that was Mexico's movie, but I don't know, whatever. Whatever. I don't know. That movie, it's not Till Dusk Till Dawn. They pick a talking point and they try to push it so hard. That from Dusk Till Dawn, because everybody in the comments is telling y'all, no, this ain't from Dusk Till Dawn, dog. Like, I get what y'all trying to do, the references, and maybe there may be some references there, right? The same movie. Now they would have been better off if they named the references, but saying they're the same movie is where you lose it.
Survive the vampire siege from Dusk Till Dawn, but it's the same story. So you could set this story anywhere, but these were all, as you say, deliberate choices that Hollywood has put money behind, that these people in Hollywood and the people who are making this film have decided that they want to achieve a certain effect because they're playing to a market, or perhaps, creating that market to say, this is the story that we want to tell. Again, going back to Blade, that was a very successful movie. It was a successful franchise. I do think
going back to Blade. You know why they keep going back to Blade? Because Blade, they gave us. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Black Panther, which is, you say, the same director of Sinners made Black Panther, which is true. Googly, which is true. He had to make a movie, a character you gave us first. Blade was a character that was given to us. Black Panther was a character that was given to us. He just made a movie about something that just wasn't given to us, right? And even if he said it's Shatira, even if it's similar to Dusk Till Dawn, the horror genre always has similar elements from film to film. So it's a nothing burger. It is a nothing burger, exactly, right? All horror movies have a lot of the same dialogue, or you know what I'm talking about.
that the TV show Blade didn't do as well because they couldn't get. He had some tax issues, but he was actually found.
They talking about Wesley Snipes taxes. This is nasty work, man. They talk about my man taxes. Talking about an action movie and a character they gave us and the taxes. Well, that ain't got nothing to do with sinners. That ain't,
or he got most of it knocked away, taken care of. And I just think they didn't have that star power with the TV show of Blade. But again, it's a very similar story. But what was the difference? You didn't have this massive racialized element where we're going to say, oh, this is all about pitting people against each other. And even in the movie, right, they bring in, so it's the Irish vampires, and they say, well, we're offering you power, and this is the way that you can fight back against the systemic oppression and cultural legacy, and we're going to fight back too. And again,
now this is where I have to look at, be like, let's go deeper into that. Let's go deeper into that for a second. Let's go a little bit deeper into that in this movie, Sinners, right? Why were the Irish coming to the blacks saying that we will fight oppression and we will rise together? Why come the whites, you say they weren't really white? This is why you call them Irish now. You say anti-white when you use the Irish, but right now you're referring to him as Irish. You didn't refer to him as a white man. Hey, well, why come they didn't let that white guy or that white man in? And well, why did they use those white people? He referred to them as Irish. You didn't refer to them as white. You did it. You just did it again. So therefore, the reason why the Irish over there with the black people, biting them with the same bit, messing with y'all, and it to us. Why come the Irish was not over there on the other side of the railroad tracks with other white people? Why come there weren't more white people? Why come there wasn't a whole town of white people? Why come there was only initially 3 white people? They act like all the vampires is sinners were white. Only 3 of there's only 1 white vampire initially. I didn't even say white. There was only 1 Irish vampire initially. Then he bit a husband and wife. So there was 3. So there was 1 Irish. There was 1 Irish vampire that bit, I guess, Southern white people. Everybody else is black. Yeah, and the Klan was Irish. People just ignore all that, right? So and so those 3 white people and the 1 mixed child turn everybody else into vampires, including the Asians and blacks. So the majority of the vampires in the movies were the majority of the vampires in the movies, and the majority of vampires in the movie Sinners were black, and 2, 1 was Asian because the husband turned into a vampire. So the majority of the vampires are black because they turned a lot of the black people into vampires. They turned a lot of the black people into Jason Whitlock. They're mad right now that they can't culturally turn everyone into Jason Whitlock. All want to just get along in the get along game and be happy, right? So that's pretty much. Don't let the Asian bride get a pass. She picked. Yeah, she was wilding. I'm gonna let her get a complete pass, but I'm gonna let her get a. She was better than the Irish women. The Irish women won't no good. That Irish woman was no good, and that Irish woman tried to play close to the biracial girl. singing them songs and shit.
Narratives. They are Marxist narratives.
And I'm tired of this side only knows about 2 words: Marxist, communism, woke, liberal. They know about 5 words: Marxist, communism. I'm gonna give them 10. They know Marxist, communism, China, woke, DI. What else they know? Jews, blacks, crime, IQ, yeah, IQ. You know what? White Jesus. Judeo-Christianity, I give them that. Judeo-Christianity, I give that. What else can we give them? What else can we, what other words do they know? They know a couple. They know about 25 words. I'll put it that way. I'll give them about 25 words.
Narratives that every country and every place at every time is an oppressor class and oppressed class, and that the goal of the government or the goal overthrow the status quo and then liberate the people who are being oppressed. And therefore, by the way, this is the same reason that when you have crime, that well, if it's a member of that certain class, which is the protected class, they'll say, oh, well, that person was lashing out because of the oppression that they were feeling on the behest of the oppressor. So if it's a member of the class who is they're not actually the victim of the crime. And this is where you get into the Marxist version of something that even in narcissism, where they'll say it's called DARVO. So DA.
It's really affluenza. He is crazy. He has no legal or medical background, but he's talking about Davos and going to go out here and spill it like he really saying something. It's stupid shit he's made up. It's just a form of affluenza, a form of entitlement, and it can socially happen. And it doesn't. And they like to tie it to money, but it doesn't necessarily have to have a economic side to it, because you can argue it legally without money. You can argue. That's just where white supremacy comes into play. You can argue. You can take affluenza and argue white supremacy in court, even though you can be a poor Klansman. You can be a poor Irish Klansman, go into court affluenza with no money. I promise you can legally do it. Because what happens is you can say that due to affluenza, I didn't even know any better, and you can do it. It's been done before, and countries been ran.
Are the where it's deny, attack, and then reverse victim and offender. So deny what happened, upset, and then you reverse the victim and offender in a situation. Now, anyone who's been in a bad relationship.
That is exactly what you're doing, though. Let's listen to what let's actually listen to what he said, and if he's actually a hypocrite.
Relationship offender. So deny what happened, attack the person who's upset, and then you reverse the victim and offender in a situation. Now, anyone who's been in a bad relationship with one of these types, and they come in guys and girls, we all know that you're the one who did something, but I'm the one who's in trouble for it because you're mad that I. This is what they do on a societal level, and it is emotional. It is programming, and in this case, rather than being done in the sort of the classic Marxist sense, which was economic class warfare, what you're seeing here is divide the country up into racial groups, to divide the country up into gender groups, and there you go. You still get your same Marxist agitation, only now it's being done through Hollywood.
Make the new standard in sleep. This is Pod 4 Ultra.
It's
Listening to your definition of Darvos, I think you called it.
Darvo, yeah.
My mind immediately went to Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony.
Here we go. Here we go. Jason, here we go. Here the hell we go. I don't understand why they keep doing this, why they are trying to railroad this young man, and no one is talking about Grayson Allen. They talking about Blade, they talking about Twilight, they talking about Werewolf, they talking about Shador, they talking about Archie Manning, they talking about the hell. They even got Tom Brady having an answer for not drafting Shador. You got President Trump talking about Shador. Ain't nobody talking about this damn Grayson Allison. Ain't nobody talking about this Grayson Allison. Slice this young, wrong is wrong. Simple assault does not warrant death, right? Supposedly. That boy premeditated. That boy brought a knife to school and sliced and stabbed and slaughtered a young Hispanic child down here in Belton, Texas. And y'all say his life is only worth $10,000. A couple of months in jail. Y'all better get out of here. But you go right to, this reminds you of Austin. Sinners. See, and he doubled down on Carmelo Anthony as a center.
They read Darvos, I think you called it.
Darvo, yeah.
My mind immediately went to Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony. They reversed who the victim is. Carmelo Anthony's the guy that stabbed someone, and they're arguing he's the victim. And we're watching this.
Grayson Allison literally stabbed someone, and they're claiming he was a victim. He was scared to fight. Fear. He had wimpy white boy syndrome and was scared to fight a Mexican boy in the bathroom, put out a knife, sliced and stabbed down here in Belmont, Texas. And I was quiet about this story because I shot the Red Supreme. Shout to the Red Supreme. Shout to Jalen too. Shout to Jalen. Shout to Jalen. Shout to Jalen and shout to Red Supreme. They have been covering this story heavy. I was like, I'm gonna chill because this white boy can't technically get off of what he did. And then 12 hours ago, they say that they found him for the lowest, so they found him not guilty of murder. They found him of the lowest of low count. And I think that was like, so they looked at it as self-defense. So he got off in self-defense. So pretty much he just really going to jail for criminal. I'll pull it back up. But then I don't even think they're really charging him for having a knife on school grounds. They say that the kid died, but that was criminal negligence or something like that. They call it criminal negligence or something like that. Let me pull that shit back up. Let me pull it back up. Let me pull that back up. Let me pull that back up. He got charged with criminal negligent homicide. He got the lowest of the three charges. Criminal negligent homicide. Criminal negligent homicide. What else? Ooh, my nigga Red in the building. It's the sinister minister. Yeah. You said Red been on both cases. Shout out to Red Supreme TV. He been on both these cases, and Red making he been going in. I've been watching. I've been watching. Right. And I did not think Grayson Allison was going to get off like he did. They found him. I can. Whoa, man. What up, Devin D? Look at this, right? We gonna hold on. Let me stop sharing. Hold on. Let me stop sharing this, right? Let me get up out of here with that one. Look at this, right? Let me stop sharing that. We're gonna go. What a Devin D in the building. What up? We're gonna start sharing. I might have to drop the link for this after about. I've been up for about 2 hours. I'm gonna drop this link for y'all. I want to hear what people. I want to hear what people got to say. But this Texas team, this white boy stabbed this young Mexican boy to death and was found, and he was found guilty of the lowest of the 3 charge, which is criminally negligent homicide. So it was criminal, and it was negligent, and it was homicide. That's what they found him in. They said they said Allison will be back in court on June 19th, which is, we know that's a lie, because they say June 19th, June 16th. They trying to do this sentencing without protest. Really trying to happen. They lying about the date. According to the court records at the time, he will face 6 months to 2 years in a state facility, as well as a fine up to $10,000. So a Mexican man's life is up to $10,000. In fact, a young Mexican man's life is up to this young Mexican man's life is up to $10,000. Up to, not necessarily. You knew he would? You knew he would? I didn't think he would. I was like, this shit is crazy, right? Right? He said, now listen to this, right? Ramirez is allegedly seen throwing a punch at Allison in that recording, which is simple assault. At the time, Allison swings back. That's slashing. Swings back at Ramirez with a knife in his hand, according to court documents. So he didn't slash the knife and take off the bathroom. The video then ends with Allison allegedly cornering Ramirez at the time, and the other teenagers all fled from the bathroom. The security cameras at the school then captured Ramirez leaving the bathroom and collapsing in the hallway according to the arrest affidavit. The video shows blood pooling beneath his body. The affidavit. Despite the efforts of the school nurse to Ramirez and began administering life-saving care, the teenager was pronounced dead soon after arriving at a local hospital. And autopsy reported that Ramirez had stab wounds to his chest, back, legs, and arms. I don't want to hear nothing Jason Whitlock to say right now, dog. With Jason Whitlock and his anti-white, anti-hate, we got to bring Christian values back to movies. First of all, show me that every single movie white people made was a Christian movie. You're going to have to prove to me that every single movie that white people have made is a Christian movie. You made that. Jason tried to say that majority of the movies that white people have made were Christian. And I definitely disagree with that. I don't know white people made have been Christian. But you let Jason tell this shit, his lying bitch ass. I just don't know what's going on with Jason nowadays, man. He out here wilding. He out here wilding. He done lost his way. He a wayward nigga. The religion of white supremacy is strong. That's how I knew he would get off. Yeah. No, we gotta run up. Yo, I ain't gonna say that, but Jason, the way you this young man under the bus, nah, you out of line.
In real time, a 17-year-old stabs another 17-year-old, and somehow the killer and his family, they're the real victims. Their life's in jeopardy. Go send them a bunch of money. Karmelo's being denied justice. This type of psychosis that they're promoting has real impact. We can't reach a consensus on a 17-year-old stabbing another unarmed 17-year-old.
Why won't they show Grayson Allison and Ramirez? Why is Jason Whitlock playing the? See, he says that Jake and he also says that Carmelo Anthony's lawyers are playing the race game, but y'all are playing the race game. Y'all just mad that they're able to do it as regular. They're doing it as regular people, and y'all aren't able to control it as media pundits, or that y'all aren't even really trying to control it. Y'all just trying to get money off this shit. Y'all are grifting off these children. You don't really give a damn how this case goes. And the high behind Jesus, Christ, and morals and values and culture. And you niggas is nasty. So I'm finally starting to actually see what people are saying about people, or especially black men on YouTube. Some of us are out of line. You got a lot of niggas online that are just trying to throw Carmelo Anthony under the bus. And you niggas is out. White people are out here setting their children free after they slash and stab Mexican children to death. And we're trying to throw one of ours away because he used a cleat sharpener. Have you ever seen a cleat sharpener? There is. So they said there's no such thing as a cleat sharpener, right? Hold on, yo. They said there's no such thing as a cleat. They said there's no such thing as a cleat sharpener. That's what they'll tell you, right? There's no such thing as a cleat. Yes, the hell there is a such thing as a cleat sharpener. Look, yo. Look, that's a cleat tool, right? That's also a cleat. That's for look. So there's another one too. A couple of cleat sharpeners, right? And why Carmelo Anthony pop up? This shit crazy, my nigga. This shit crazy. I put in cleat sharpener, and then you go a couple of lines, and then there got Carmelo Anthony right there in the corner. But look, that a track cleat sharpener. You know what I'm saying? Then look at this. Right? Look over here. They got the cleat sharpener beside Carmelo. Right? Right? Look at this shit. Look at this shit. Google go to hell, dog. Yo, now I showed y'all earlier where even when talking about Grayson Allen case, the Grayson Allen case, the comments, they were talking about Carmelo Anthony. That shit is crazy. You can't make this shit up, man. That's why I'm telling y'all, the world is against, but the world, man, dog, and they get mad when we be when we be standing up for actually just like, nah, y'all ain't gonna do us like that as black people. They be mad that we would actually fight back.
In the heart, because of all of this programming that we've been done, and only a certain skin color can be a victim, we've muddied up an obvious murder with what you're talking about.
Well, that's exactly.
No, so you are right. Only one race can be a victim, because who's going to tell the Ramirez family that Ramirez child is not a victim? I guess. No, Mexican people that got ran over in Texas, they're not a victim. All the black people that been beat up and stabbed, you know, them black people that was going to church and stealing roof, I guess they not victims.
Right. And what Dominique Alexandre had done at that which, by the way, it blew my mind when I heard that he was holding a press conference, because typically when you're representing someone, I understand he's not the lawyer, he's an advocate, but even still, when you're representing, your words carry weight. So typically you would hear a press conference from the victim's family would come forward. Ben Crump has an entire career doing this, but in this case, you have something where it's
other thing, they rather deal with the enemy they know. They rather deal with the Benjamin Crumps, the Al Sharptons, because you often hear them say this. Because I also heard this dude from the Quartering, Jeremy from the Quartering, or something. Yeah, this is nothing, because if Al Sharpton and all them would be out if this was a real case. We know what the Ku Klux Klan didn't show up when y'all let Grayson Allison off for stabbing that Hispanic, that Mexican child in Belton, Texas. But you know what they did on that daggone jury? Y'all know how to move in silent and get shit done. Y'all get mad when other people start moving in silent guerrilla warfare. That's just why I find them talking about 100 gorillas versus one man. And that's what we're dealing with. 100 gorilla, we know, that's 100 men versus one gorilla, right? I guess that's what they've been talking about. 100 men versus one gorilla. And that's what it's been like, right? It's been like they look at you as a gorilla, and hundreds of them get to jump on you. They looked at Ramirez was looked at as a gangster, a fighter, a killer. So therefore, he get to get with a knife and slash and stab to death. It's just shit crazy, dog. It's crazy.
It's the perpetrator has now flipped everything backwards. By the way, I think that they threw Jeff Metcalf out of that, who was the father of Austin Metcalf, threw him out of there because the Darvo technique doesn't work if you have an actual.
No, the affluenza did not work. The feeling that your wealth, your power, your real estate wealth and power in Frisco, Texas, and your money could just get down black people and make them feel guilty when they innocent. You mad at your affluenza didn't work. You can keep your Darvo or Darvo, whatever the hell acronym you came up with to make yourself feel like you have a high IQ. Whatever you did to make you feel like your IQ is high is okay, sure, whatever. No, his affluenza didn't work, okay? Why do black people got to sit there and keep putting ourselves in situations so that y'all can feel accepted? So they trying to tie this movie Sinners with black people kicking Austin Metcalf's daddy out of the press hearing that the Karmelo Anthony family put out. Karmelo Anthony family had a press release, and then they're saying because they kicked out, there were some evil Negroes, and sinners, trying to keep the white people out, which is weren't even white people, they were Irish people. He often refers to them, he often refers to these people as Irish too in his commentary, while hiding behind these Irish people. This, that's how they do. Intersectionality, I guess. Just take advantage of who you can and get paid off of it. I don't know, man. These people, wow.
Victim present in your midst. And Jeff Metcalf, by the way, he sat back there completely politely. He has obviously said many things that are saying he wants to find unity and forgiveness and all this stuff for Karmelo Anthony, but that didn't matter, because what mattered was the victim status. And I don't think that Jeff Metcalf understands that what they're doing is.
So do you think Grayson Allison while Grayson Allison was saying that what he did was in self-defense, let that Mexican, you think they let the Ramirez family come hang out with them? You think they all hung out at the Taqueria after Grayson Allison stabbed Mr. Ramirez? So when we are in fear of what y'all, so I guess when we are in fear of y'all, we supposed to still let y'all in. Obviously, he was in fear of Austin Metcalf. That's just why he responded the way that he responded. So we don't want y'all near us because y'all are dangerous. Y'all want to proceed to continue towards us. Sad. Right? This is different than Grayson Allison. Grayson Allison proceeded. He cornered Ramirez. Karmelo Anthony is stabbing you off of him. And y'all are right. You know what? The more y'all compare this to sinners, the more you look bad. Because the sinners, they stabbed the Irish people because they wouldn't leave. They kept on to them. Karmelo Anthony stabbed the Metcalf twin because he wouldn't leave him alone. He kept coming on to him. Y'all need to stop making this sinners analogy. You're going to mess around and make yourselves look bad using this sinners analogy to drag Karmelo Anthony. You're really not making your point. You're honestly kind of contradicting your point.
They need to flip around who the victim was and who was the perpetrator. So in this mind, you get these people that are, it's a version of neo-Marxism where they come in, they have to flip around who the victim and who the offender is. And to be able to do so, it requires that you can't have an advocate there who's the actual father of the actual, because, in that situation, he's trying to, and he's perpetuating this narrative, which, by the way, and I've actually heard what you've said about it as well. We don't actually know what Karmelo Anthony was thinking, but the narrative that they're presenting is that, well, Austin Metcalf is a representative of whiteness. And if he's a representative of whiteness, then all of the sins of whiteness, all of the, the slavery, systemic oppression, cultural assimilation, or cultural and all of these things are part of Austin Metcalf's fault. And by the way, this is, as you always say, this is the idea of collective justice and collective guilt, which is not biblical. It is not Christian. This is.
Why do they keep trying to hold everyone else to this biblical standard that they are not remotely trying to practice themselves? It was a team of y'all that came together in Belton and let Grayson Island go down here in Texas for killing that Hispanic boy, stabbing him in his chest, his back, his legs, and his arms. You don't think they family won't Ramirez? You don't think the Ramirez want their family member back? You don't think they want their? And that white child was 3 years older. They don't want that up. After the white child is older. They don't want to bring that up. The white child is Grayson Allison is older than Ramirez. He's older. And he slashed this. He was older of a simple assault. A younger Hispanic man threw a punch at an older white, and Grayson Allen damn near grown, 17, 18. At the time when it happened in 2022, because Grayson Allen is now 21 and Ramirez would have been 18. So I wonder how old they were when the actual crime happened, because it was 2022. So that was about 3 years ago. So Grayson Allen would have been in high school. He would have been 3 years ago. He would have been 18. He was 17 or 18 at the time when he stabbed the child. But the child was 15 then. That boy was 15 when he got stabbed by Grayson Allison. Did you see the video last week where the white boy was beating up a Mexican kid and got stabbed? Wow. And they mad that black and brown people are now. And I'm not trying to harm no white people, dog. I'm gonna keep it gangster with you, dog. I don't wake up thinking about harming no damn white people. I don't wake up thinking about harming no black people. I don't wake up thinking about harming no Asians, no Mexicans. I'm gonna keep it gangster with you, dog. I wake up trying to enjoy my damn day. Go to work, see my child, go some baseball, maybe do a couple, classes here and there. I really try to enjoy my life. I ain't out here trying to run up on nobody for no reason. But don't test me neither, though, nigga. I want to enjoy my life. I don't want to just sit there and and let somebody opportunistically just run up on me like I'm just some chump or something. Like that, damn. Yeah, I will. Is that right? I'll get you off me if you need be. This is crazy.
Is a very primitive version of thinking. This is the way the world was. It was tribal, right?
Hold on. So this is primitive. So what Grayson Allison did was primitive, right? So see, they love to use primitive and monkey and all these terms when it comes down to us protecting ourselves. And they Christians. These some good Christian people, right? But yet, when it comes down to Grayson Allison, which happened this ain't like it happened in the next state over, or in another part of the country, hell, or really even in another part of the state. North Texas and Central Texas is Belmont is pretty much North Texas still. Let's see. Let's see what Belton, Texas. Texas. Let's see what Belton, Texas is. Let me go big. Let me go right here. Let me go Belton. Temple. Yeah, Belton ain't far from Temple. Yeah, it's right there on 35. Temple. Yeah, that's about Central Texas right there. That's Central Texas. That's damn Central Texas. Them motherfuckers they did not find him guilty of killing this young man. They gave him the lowest account they could give him.
Before Christ came along, it was this idea that, well, you're this guy who's a member of your did something to my tribe. It was all over the world. And so we've got to go to war over that, where Christ came in and said, no, it is your individual heart, and it is your decisions and your individual thoughts in connection with God that you are accountable for. You are accountable for your sins, for your actions, and what you're responsible for. Not your dad, not your mom, not everybody else, not your brother, not your friend. This is a way that Christ has taught us. This is the way that is the biblical narrative going forward, and is the Christian narrative. It's a very tough narrative, by the way. It's something that's very hard upset because we as humans have fallen nature, and with man's fallen nature, want to lash out. You want, of course, obviously in a situation like this, you're going to be upset, but at the same time, we're called to a higher standard, and that's the entire point.
Oh, our car's value went up.
Maybe we should track all our cars' value on Carvana.
All of them?
All of
Jack, I don't want to keep you forever. I want to squeeze in 2 more questions, then I'm going to let you go. I wasn't expecting to talk about Jeff Metcalf and the Karmelo, but I have to ask a follow-up. I need to.
Yes, you did. You're a liar because you've done this multiple times. This ain't got nothing to do with Christ. And you see how he's trying to make himself the face of Christ? No, I'm made in the image of God, not you, homeboy. I'm made in the image of God, not you.
To know where you stand on this because you gave me a little indication. I think what Jeff has done has been absolutely brilliant. I think it's what MLK and the civil rights movement were able to do.
The civil rights movement was a Marxist movement. It was a communist movement. It was a community of people come together, put their money together for a movement. It had nothing to do with it. The conservatives are tripping. You want to hear the conservatives say that the civil rights movement was communism and Martin Luther King was a communist. On one hand, they'll say that, but then on the other hand, they say we shall overcome. We should do. Come on, man, y'all wildin', man. Be more like the leaders of that party and of that day. But don't be a communist. Don't be a Democrat. You better be a conservative Christian, Judeo-Christian. And then let me stab you in the back, the chest, the back, the arms. You know, and you better not pick up no damn cleat sharpener and stab me back, boy.
By him choosing the Christian path that I know is very hard of forgiveness and just him in this moment, like I'm going to lean into forgiveness, and he's trying to deny himself his need for vengeance, choose Christ's path. I think it's brilliant because it exposes the demonic nature of the other side. He has put Christ first and tried to be very conciliatory and seek peace while
this is going to a court of law, not the church. This case, this Karmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf case, or the state of Texas versus Karmelo Anthony, is going to a courtroom, not a church. Not a church. Okay. Not everybody, that judge, not every juror is going to be a Christian. Your walk with Jesus is your walk with Jesus. Your Christian path is your Christian path. For you to come with this communist Christian, this Marxist Christianity, we should all just do this and do that. No, that's communist Christianity. That's Marxist Christianity. Since you want to play these games, nah, man. Your walk with Christ is personal, man. So find your personal walk.
on the other side, it exposes the other side, the people defending Karmelo Anthony, the people racializing this. It exposes their demise. They've clearly bought into something outside the body of Christ. And that's what the civil rights, well, they'd show up at lunch counters, they'd get assaulted by water hoses and dogs, and they'd be dressed up in suits. And it's like, man, look at those people. They're, you know, the people going after them, they look depraved. That
get beat up, get killed, get bit, get hung, get hot water. I went to North Carolina A&T. When he says sit at countertops, right? He's bringing up people like the Greensboro Fort that's sitting at the I think it's the Woolworth, whatever. They used to sell clothes and food, and like a food, I guess. And black people just go in there and try to sit for equal treatment or to be part of patrons of a business in their city. They'll get coffee, cigarettes, spit in their face. And Jason Whitlock wants us to go back to those days. So now, if you were to go back and tell the story of black people getting beat up and what up, ski mask, at the crack of the damn dawn, early bird shit, get the worm. See, Jason Whitlock wants to go back to getting our ass whooped. You better not pick up no cleat sharpener. You better be a victim of a Grayson Allison. They keep talking about you better not be a victim of Karmelo Anthony. You better not be a victim of a Grayson Allison. They literally let this boy off this. He stabbed Grayson Allison, stabbed Ramirez over 4 times in the back, the chest, the back, the arms and the legs, and they're gonna let him off down here in Texas. They out of line. Talk some Jesus.
That's what I feel like Jeff Metcalf has done to the other side of the Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf debate.
That very well be what Jeff is trying to do, but unfortunately, I'm just not seeing any atonement. I'm not, and that's
I'm not seeing any atonement. Such words of even father. The way the conservatives have treated Jet Man, I think is nasty. I think that the Carmelo Anthony family actually treated them better. When he showed up at that press release and they said, "Man, this go away," and they had him removed, and then they briefly spoke on why he shouldn't have been there and moved on. Treated him better than the people that support him. He shouldn't have been here, and this is why we didn't want him to be here. They explained their behavior. They wasn't even really talking about him, really, as much as explaining their behavior. They talked about him, they were more or less explaining their behavior of removing him. These people are literally using him. They say, "Look, go get away from here. Go grieve about your child. Go handle your legal proceedings. Deal with your shit. Leave us alone." These people won't even leave him. They're using him. And they say he's not using the right atonement. 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 Right? We're going to get into this word atonement.
Atonement.
Reparations for a wrong or injury. Christian theology. Reconciliation of God and humankind through Jesus Christ. For sin, reparations or expiate or for sin. An annual ceremony or confession and atonement for sin. This shit is crazy. They are double down on calling the white man wanting reparations is insane. They are finding ways to say they want reparations. So in the white, so look, you better watch when white people say they want atonement. It's white is the white version of reparations. When they want to start, because if they say we want reparations, it doesn't sound too black. But when you watch white people, yeah, they want atonement. As soon as you hear them say, I want atonement, no, the hell you don't. No, the hell you don't. No one promised you atonement. We was promised reparations. Y'all got to be out of here. No. Atonement is their new way of reparations. He wants atonement. You to give up to your sins. No, white man, we can't do it. We can't give up the atonement. I ain't giving up no atonement. I ain't giving up no atonement, dog. And the sad thing about it is they trying to tell this man how to grieve. You should be asking for atonement from these black people. You should be asking for reparations and these white people should be falling at your feet. These black people should be falling at your feet for what happened to your son. And you're not asking for that atonement.
Piece of it too, right? That very well be what Jeff Metcalf is trying to do, but unfortunately, I'm just not seeing any atonement. I'm not, and that's another key piece of it too, right? Christ comes in and says your sins are forgiven, but go and sin no more, right? Go and sin no more. And I just haven't seen that atonement yet from either the family or from these advocates who are going out there and again just fanning the flame. They kicked Jeff Metcalf out, right? So if he wanted to show, which by the way, I absolutely exposed Dominique Alexandre and those just absolute clowns for the demons that they are, because to throw out some
demons and clowns and atonement, Christ and movies, y'all are losing, man. Dog, y'all are look. I'm not even racist, dog. I just like joking around with this shit. Losing a cultural war so bad, and this is not even. This is to a niche group of white men. Y'all are losing the cultural war real bad. I'm gonna tell you the honest God truth. All white men are not losing the cultural war. So if y'all think this is I'm telling you, all white men are not losing the culture. All white men are not losing in a culture war. I'm telling you, they're not. I'm guys that are not losing in a culture war, and they're not, and they don't have to act black. You don't have to act Mexican or act Asian. I actually know white guys with regular jobs. They with white kids, white children now, white guys with white children that don't have to play don't have to play the gender war that y'all say is so bad. They don't even have to play the cultural war. Y'all say I know regular white guys that don't even have to play the cultural war like this. Like I really like this is sad. I know. I know a lot of regular white guys that don't feel caught up in a culture war like this. I know that feel like they are being attacked by white. Feel like they're being attacked. Feel like they can't get a job. They can't get children. They can't have a life. They can't. These black people that are going to just run up on them and just take their life. I know a lot of white guys that just don't worry about that shit. Don't even remotely feel threatened by that shit. It's crazy because some of them look like him. So it's crazy, right? You see a white guy like this guy. He's like a regular white guy that you would think would not have to worry about these cultural war issues. Like he's like a regular white guy, like you would have a job in construction or HVAC or be in the military. Just a regular ass white guy. And you so worried about this cultural war. It's just sad to see you looking for atonement with Jason Whitlock on the Glenn Beck Network. Come on, dog. It's sad to see it. Y'all won't talk about Grayson Allen, but y'all talk about Carmelo Anthony every chance y'all get. Every chance you get.
Someone who's a grieving father makes you look horrible, and quite frankly, it really doesn't give anyone much interest in hearing what the rest of what you have to say is, because
you hear this, right? These are white Americans, just like they didn't want to hear what the Irish had to say back in the Sinners days. That's just why the Irish people was hanging around the black people back then. Just like y'all didn't want to hear what the Irish people had to say back then. Y'all don't want to hear what Jeff Metcalf has to say now, because he's not asking for the right atonement. He's not toting the narrative that you want to tote. And what narrative is that? And I didn't know that a legal or a court proceedings came with a narrative. I thought it came with justice, but we're finding out it comes with a narrative. Because y'all believe that narrative about Grayson Allison being afraid of these Mexicans. So I think narratives work over law. Shout to narratives and dialogues. Because I think narratives actually work over law.
I do think that Jeff Metcalf was attempting to show up for, say, hey, we can meet together, we can have a prayer. I'm a mom, or excuse me, I'm a dad, you're a mom. Let's at least, say this is a terrible situation for all parties involved and try to get past that. But at the same time, this guy, they hired this advocate. They're paying him this fund or some other way that they're paying him. And so, I'm sure he's not doing it for free. And so they've decided to go down this other route. And I think that's a problem, because just like we were talking about in the movie Sinners, what does that do? That divides people.
You don't think they cared about dividing Belton, Texas, when they let Grayson Allison off for stabbing Luis Ramirez. You cared about splitting that? You think they cared about splitting Belton? They didn't care about splitting Belton. But this is crazy. Back to Sinners. You better not.
That puts people apart, and that no, sure, I guess it's good for donations, right? The same way that in Sinners, I guess it's good for the box office, but what it's bad for? It's bad for the country, and unfortunately,
How's that bad for the country? I think it's bad for the country to let Jason Allison pretty much off for stabbing and slashing Ramirez. I think it's bad that y'all let the affluenza kid run over 4 Mexicans, run to Mexico, and then make America deport him from America. Him and his mama. Y'all are out of line.
More Austin Metcalfs. The donations, right? The same way that in Sinners, I guess it's good for the box office, but what it's bad for? It's bad for the country, and unfortunately, it's going to create more Austin Metcalfs.
Final question, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for the time. I know you probably haven't seen as many Black movies as I have. I've seen a lot because I'm interested in what Hollywood.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
What is targeting at young Black people. And I found this movie, Sinners, to be the most nakedly racist movie that I've ever seen. That's my takeaway. And it's akin to Birth of a Nation. And we've listened to Black people and Black historians talk about the evilness of Birth of a Nation and what it did and blah, blah, blah. And I don't disagree with him. It was programming and propaganda. We can't see this movie Sinners and other movies that are not quite as nakedly racist, but they all flirt with this. Why And I don't know the example in the last 30, 40 years, 50 years. Where's the example of the anti-Black movie nakedly racist towards Black people? I can't think of the example. It's only promoted and only approved if it's headed one direction. Have I missed something? And have you seen maybe other, the movie that they did with Ada DuVernay, Central Park 5 on Netflix, it's pretty nakedly racist.
In the past 50 years, there has not been exactly American history. X was racist. Matter of fact, white people throw hints of racism or racist movie they make. Schindler's List was pretty racist. Right? No, but he's talking about directly against Black people, right? Like that a movie directly against Black people that was nigga. How to Kill a Mockingbird. Nigga, How to Kill a Mockingbird. Nigga, There's so many I can't even think. I know How to Kill a Mockingbird. Daggone, but they so many of them I can't even think of, man. Let me go. Let me look. Wilding right now, movie. Let me. Man, there's so many, dog. Gone with the Wind. Mississippi Burning. How to Kill a Mockingbird. 12 Years a Slave. The Help. Get Out. The nigga, a couple, about 2 or 3 of the purges was bad. Just Mercy, American Son. Hitting. Selma. Nigga, nigga, what was the video? What was the movie? It was the Black dude and his girl that were running from the cops after they shot a cop. Mississippi Burning. He wilding right now, dog. He wilding right now. He wilding right now, man. He wilding. He wilding, man. I ain't trying to hear this shit, man. He wilding right now. He wilding. Let me see.
About the Central Park 5, if you've actually watched them confess to their crimes with their parents sitting there. But this is the most nakedly racist. This movie center says white people are as if Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam wrote this movie.
Nigga, they throwing shots at everybody, dog. The Nation of Islam they taking a shot at NOI, taking shots at Karmelo Anthony. They taking shots. This shit crazy. Nigga, this shit racist. Nigga, this programming is racist. Nigga. You got a line, man. Yo, you better leave the NOI alone, man. Jason, you are not sound enough in your argument. I think you played, whatever, did that nigga play football? You took, man, the line, yo, it gets nasty at the line. The line is the trenches of football. I was a skilled player. I never actually I never actually was a lineman. Hey, I'm serious. Jason, I'll give you that, dog. You did something that I guess based on my body size, I was never going to be a lineman. However, you were a lineman. Had to be a lineman. And that's a hard place to be, man. And a line is a hard place to be as a black man, too. The line is a place of servitude. It's a place where they like to put these big country ass white boys to just be in them, just hold the line, right? Most big like wide receivers or tight ends, shit like that, defensive ends and shit like that. We got some black linemen. Black linemen be having good feet. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they pulling tackles or was Jason Whitlock a pulling guard? What was Jason Whitlock's position? I wonder what his position was. Oh. He was an offensive lineman. It don't say it says offense. It says offensive lineman. It don't say which one. It says offensive lineman. Let's see. I'll stay offensive lineman. It says played O line. But what is O line? Well, I don't let me get more specific. What part of the offensive line did he play? Offensive tackle. He was an offensive tackle. He wasn't even a pulling guard. So he wasn't even a fast big nigga. Damn, dog. So he wasn't even a fast big nigga. He was an offensive line, yeah. Offensive tackle. Offensive tackle, center, and guard. He wasn't no pulling guard. I don't think you think he was a pulling. No, I don't think Jason Whitlock was a pulling guard. I don't think he was, yo. I don't think he was a big nigga with good feet and good speed. I don't know, dog. Like, I don't know. He isn't smart enough to be center. Oh no, they wasn't gonna put him in the center, dog. He an offensive tackle. He a big collard green. That's what he is. That's horrible, dog. So he always felt some type of way, especially playing football. I know he did. All the niggas that was on the line, when I played football in high school, there was only one black dude on the line. His name was Russell Rouse. That nigga hated being on the line. He was a pulling guard though. So he was on the line, but he used to be able to pull. He used to pull and go around and pancake, corners and safeties and shit. So he's in the offensive, outside linebackers and shit. So he's like that, the pulling guard, getting around and moving around. But he also kind of hated being on the line because he didn't get the ball. He was lineman. So whenever they put him in a game in defensive line, he would always try to get a sack to get the ball. They never get the ball. And I think all linemen suffer from that shit. I don't even think it's a racial thing. I think it's just all linemen suffer from that life of servitude, but never been able to be that guy. Have you when like linemen pick up a fumble or when linemen like bat the ball down and they receive it? Every time we see a lineman like get like a touchdown, or just get the ball and run 5 yards. It's like Christmas, right? He was a big He was a big nigga. Sacrifice on the line. Exactly, right? I've seen so many big guys that just, you want big guys to eventually get the ball. It's like, damn, man. It's like, it makes their whole career. They can be blocking. They can be a terrific lineman all their life. But they're going to remember that time that the quarterback like fumbled the ball or some shit, and they picked it up and they ran for like 15 yards. Some shit. Before somebody ran and took their knees out. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, I don't know what it is about linemen wanting to be that guy. Top 5 guards in the league always lose. And nicer win with the big one. They don't even, I mean, this shit, I know Jason want to be that guy. He even said out himself. He said something that I thought was very interesting, right? He said a lot of black people give each other nicknames out of insecurity. And I actually know black people that give nicknames from the opposite side of securities. Like, of course, there was that dark skinned nigga that we would call light skinned, but we call that nigga light skinned because he was dark skinned and thought he was fly. So that joke came because a lot of his insecurities of being dark skinned. It's because he was a dark skinned nigga that thought he was fly. So we would call Junebug and shit like that, nigga, because you used to run around all the damn time. So black people used to get nicknames based off your behavior, your look, your style, just your charisma. It was something about you that made black people give you a nickname. And the thing about it is, black people normally don't give themselves their nickname. Jason Whitlock said he used to call himself Big Sexy. That's not a nickname. So then when he says black people give themselves nicknames because to hide their insecurities. No, you did that. Because black people don't get most of the nicknames black people get did not come from them. That's how you know it's not a real nickname. Real nicknames don't come from you. They don't. Right? Hold on. He said Pistol Pete wasn't giving insecurity. White man, yo, exactly. You think why you think they call Pistol Pete Pistol Pete? Because he was a white boy. You give that white boy that ball, he could move it so fast. He from North Carolina. He went to Broughton High School. He was pretty stupid nice. You give Pistol Pete that rock. That shit, he could move the rock up the court so fast. I guess for a white guy or this period, it was such a good ball handler. And she was just, that's how he got his nickname. Pistol Pete. Shit. And then you think Pistol Pete feeling insecure about that shit? When white people looked at him taking off, look, check this right. No. Do you think Jason Whitlock really? No, not Jason Whitlock. You think Jason Williams feels an insecurity when people call him white chocolate? When we call Jason Williams white chocolate, do you think he feels some type of way about that shit? He probably do, though. Jason Williams is probably like, you know what? You think when you call Jason Whitlock, no, I keep calling Jason Whitlock. When you call Jason Williams white chocolate, you don't think he offended by that? He had great handles for that area. Pistol Pete was nice with it. He had Pistol Pete was also a good passer too. They say that Pistol Pete, if you didn't run with your head up looking, he would hit you in the head. He'd hit you in the head with the ball. So and Kobe Bryant probably learned that shit from Pistol Pete. He hit niggas in the head with the ball. That's probably where he got that behavior from. But you let Jason Whitlock tell you it's because Kobe was an evil Darvo nigga. What they call it? Darvo? What acronym did they come up with? Darvo? He was a Darbo, you Darbo nigga throwing balls at people, right? You know, this shit's crazy. But Jason Whitlock is out of line. Jason Whitlock worse than Stevie Knight, right? Stevie Knight gave a bad review, right? And we're gonna back up. I'm gonna get. He made a bad review, right? We're gonna let him live with that. He gave a bad review. Stevie Knight gave a horrible review of Sinners, but Jason Whitlock and how he has taken Sinners and tried to throw Carmelo Anthony under the bus when we got white kids slashing, stabbing, and killing Mexican children in this country. We can't come on now. Jason Slave Lock. Exactly. Jason Slave Warlock. And you want to read the damn. Hold on, let's go to the I want to go to some of the comments though at the bottom of some of these shits, right? Let's go. Let me go to some of the. Hold up. I look at something real quick. So now we got to go to the comments. Cause yeah, y'all know I'm in the comments, dog. I'm in the comments talking shit. Off gate is me. The first comment off gate is me. I don't give a damn if nobody don't like my shit. Right? I didn't know Christ for Jesus coming back. The civil rights is now BC. Wow, this is a new level of civil. Hold on, I'm talking shit. And I'm just talking shit, right? Just talking shit. I'm just messing. We ain't even going to my comments. We're gonna go into some of these other shit. I like Sinners despite the structure being the same as Dust from Dawn. That's a lie. I want the same as Dust from Dawn. I don't know about the blatant anti-white rhetoric. Half the vampires were black. The movie did remind me a lot of 30 Days of Night stuff. Right? I had no idea it stole a plot from Dusk Till Dawn. He looks pretty stupid though, so he probably would believe that. Damn, okay. Whenever I hear about racism, I usually notice that it's one or two things. Things that are talked about are 60 plus years ago. What is talked about is general and not specific, like white privilege is systemic. It is never a thing that happened to people themselves. Besides, they were all police incidents. Whatever. I don't know what they're talking about. That shit's right. That's crazy. I don't know what you're even talking about. I think when you look for racism, you'll find it wherever you look. This movie was not anti-white, in my opinion, especially since at the end of the movie, Haley and Jordan B were together. The fact these a-holes have all this to say, love Sinners even more. Congrats to Ron Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, right? What was the most offensive, most blatantly, and most nakedly anti-black movie you've ever seen? Ain't nobody gonna really answer that. They try to skip over that. It was a great movie. The white guys trying to play victimhood. Whitlock is out of touch with black society in 30s, right? So everybody on them. White liberals went out and saw this movie. That's why it's doing so good. Conservatives say, "No, we good." Y'all don't have to go see it. You know me talking. Blade was because Whitlock was overseeing Blade. This was not Dust Till Dawn definitely fine with the segregation in this movie. I don't give a damn. Why? And then this is where I'm talking shit right here. This is where I'm on their ass. Why would you people not speak on Case and Allison? Case and Allison also is first. He stabbed a Mexican kid multiple times. You're losing the black ear fast, Jason. So I had to come in and comment like they do, right? I had to come in and comment like they do. You're losing the black ear fast, Jason. I had to use some of their tactics, man. To tell Jason, you fucking up, my nigga. You fucking up. You fucking up. Jason, you ain't black. Jason, you ain't this black. And Jason, you and this black man, don't forget, you will answer for your sins and your lies. They heard his ass. They heard his ass, dog. He said, well, this is a white guy. What an uneducated guess who knows nothing about the film. You were correct to point out it was Mississippi. It was 1932 Mississippi. Your guest did not understand the allegory of white people stealing musical concepts from black people. They didn't culturally loot Dusk Till Dawn. Civil War, where they had Trump-like figures executed, was terrible and was a terrible movie. And that was a film about. Now, the movie Civil War was not a terrible movie. So he's saying the movie Civil War, where they had Trump-like figures executed, was a terrible movie. See, Civil War didn't make as much money as Sinners did, but Civil War was a pretty good movie still. And I don't think Civil War divided this country. I don't think it did. Now I'm glad he brings that up. No, shout out to him. But we're gonna keep reading this though. The press conference, the guy reaping Anthony was terrible. That has nothing to do with a film about vampires. Black people were victims of racist times, so nothing is flipped. So the guest analogy totally fails. On a previous episode, you complained that the film was too complex. This guy says it's simple, and you didn't disagree, which is the truth. So I covered that yesterday. I covered that yesterday where Jason was like, Jason, this movie was so complex, and I don't want to have to read and stuff to understand this movie. But then this guy says it's simple, and you say nothing, and that is true. And he also brings up, when you talk about movies, right? And white movies, Civil War was a white movie. See, I think that is very interesting that because that went right over my head too. White people put out a movie called Civil War while they say that the movie Sinners is going to cause a civil war. That is wild. You know what? This is why I try not to hold all white people to the same standards, yo. I mean, I hold them to the same standards. Don't get me wrong. I hold all white people to the same standards, but I don't treat all white people the same. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I really don't. I'm gonna tell you the honest to God truth. I wish I could treat all white people the same. I don't. My treatment of white people is very biased. And I don't know if I can continue to treat these Carmelo Anthony hating white people good. Because the analogies and the things they're willing to do to drag this child down, they would do that to me too, given the chance. So I'm glad that some of their own are calling them out, because I think that is crazy. They say that depending on how this case goes, there'll be civil unrest. But when Grayson Allison stabbed a Mexican kid 4 times to death in his chest, back, arms, and legs, there was no civil unrest from the Mexican community. So they're saying that if Karmelo Anthony don't go to jail, there's going to be outrage from the white community. Well, there's just going to have to be some damn outrage. Fuck it. Because this is out of line. Your white children are cornering black and brown children in bathrooms and stabbing them multiple times, taking pocket knives to school. I didn't hear y'all talking about some atonement, righteousness. I didn't hear y'all talking about should he have that blade in school. I didn't hear y'all talking about the length of the blade. I didn't hear y'all talking about no damn IQ. And if you have such an IQ, why are you living in fear? Intelligent people don't live in fear. High IQ people don't live in fear. But civil rights filmmakers do live in fear and are low IQ. Civil Rights was a very low IQ movie. It really was. Let's keep it gangster. I'm glad. Let's do this. Civil War. No, I'm saying Civil Rights. Civil War. That movie, Civil War. Let me bring that shit up. Civil War. Oh, we about to do this shit now. Oh, we about to do this. We about to make a comparison. We're going to compare trailers. We're going to compare trailers. We're going to compare trailers. We're going to go to Civil War trailer. We'll go to Civil War trailer. They hating on me right now. So they say that sinners is going to cause racial division in this country. And shout out to that guy that put that comment in there because he brought a contrast that I think we're about to do. We're about to do this. They say that we're going to have more ultimate class and more division and more hate based off the movie Sinners. We're going to compare Civil War and Sinners trailers right now. This is Civil War trailer 2, which is also, I think, a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it too.
19 states. The United States Army ramps up activity. The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance. The three-term president assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
I guess aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America.
We just try to stay out with what we see on the news. See the best.
Citizens of America, the so-called Western forces of Texas and California have suffered a very great defeat at the hands of the United States military.
Mr. President, do you regret the use of airstrikes against American citizens?
We're moving to D.C. today.
You need to go down there.
They shoot journalists in the Capitol. Every instinct in me says this is death.
Flooded.
Every time I survived the war zone, I thought I was sending a don't do this. But here we are.
There's some kind of misunderstanding here. What? Are you American?
Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
Western forces will reach the White House on July 4th.
Oh my God.
Get in the car! Get in the car! Move, move, move!
You're gonna hang back.
I'm not hanging back.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go, 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 go!
God bless America.
Hold up now. So Sanders is going to create a race war. Shit, what the fuck? Over race soldier. Over soldier race. Yo. The conservatives have got to stop, dog. Hey, you're right, yo, ski man. Thanks, man. I'm cool with that energy, man. I'm trying to get this pop. Hey, got that energy, man. You're right. I got off that stream. I ain't playing with it. I ain't playing no more, dog. I'm not playing with these people no more. From now on, we gonna have to bring that energy, though. We ain't playing with these people no more. They are putting out movies called Civil War while telling they are putting out movies called Civil War. They are Grayson out here stabbing people to death, but yet they want you to think that Carmelo Anthony and black people in the movie Sinners and some voodoo is going to bring judgment on America, boy. So we sing. So okay. So we're gonna stop. We stop. So we sing Civil War trailer. Right now, let's look at Sinners. I'm gonna look at Sinners trailer. Right. I'm gonna look at 1,000 more division and racism. Right.
I've been all over this world. I seen men die in ways I ain't even know was possible. Hey, brother, be careful. I will. With all the things that I seen, I ain't ever seen no demons, no ghosts, no magic. Till now.
To get back inside.
Let me in, man! Some weird shit going on out here!
You keep dancing with the devil. One day he's gonna follow you home.
Which one caused more racial? Which one caused racial division? Now they wouldn't even show. Michael B. Anthony. They wouldn't even show white men at the end when he was shooting at Tommy gun. He was shooting at the white people. He was shooting at the Ku Klux Klan. And in the movie, he would shoot at the Ku Klux Klan. But in the previews, they wouldn't even show a Klansman even getting shot. Yeah, Gordon was shooting Klansmen with the Tommy gun when they showed that, but they wouldn't even show a Klansman getting hit in the previews. Matter of fact, Jason Whitlock keep talking about, they put the Klan in this movie. They didn't even put the Klan in the previews. The preview of this movie says nothing about the Klan. The previews of this movie does not say the preview of this movie does not say we got these white Irish. The previews of that say none of that. They talk about the spirit. They talk about the magic. They talk about the good versus the bad, the sin, the pleasure, the all that. Talk about all that, right? And then when you saw all them vampires, the majority of them vampires were black because they, like I said, it was only there was only 1, 2 white people bit. But anyway, and they turned everybody else that was black or half black to a vampire. So everybody, like Michael B. Jordan's twin brother, got turned into a vampire in the movie. Wait, one of the twins got turned to a vampire. You know, crazy shit, man. Now, if you go watch Civil War, they start out off gate. 19 countries have seceded. That preview start off. The first thing they say is division. Well, 19 countries said, fuck y'all. 19, look, that shit start off with division. The very first sentence of that preview is division. 19 countries said, we're seceding. And then they showed, I guess, like that Trump-like figure, like dude was saying. And then Civil War, all they was doing is shooting guns. Shooting gun at people. The president dropping bombs on so-called ex-citizens, expats. I thought you really had to get a passport to get an expat, but no. The white people decide to secede again from the country. And I'm in Texas right now. I'm in Texas. So I'm in one of those states or countries that's always talking about seceding from the United States. And this is some real shit. Texas always talk about seceding from the United States and starting some shit. They always talk about it. But the thing about it is, Texas is too invested in the United States. Well, the United States is too invested in Texas, and Texas is too invested in United States for them like completely split right now. But they be talking shit. Texas been talking shit all the time. We're going to secede from the United States. We're going to secede from the United States. Shit. And then when we secede from the United States, what we're going to do? Fight America. And these people don't believe in no constitutional right, no believe in no freedom, they don't believe in no First Amendment, no freedom of speech or freedom of assembly and freedom of religion and all. They keep talking about, they keep trying to force everybody to be a. Then if you were to try to force it, but then if we were to be in the Middle East and they were forcing everybody to be a Muslim, we'd be going to hell. Hell yeah, that oil money, oil 100. But yeah, they're trying to force us all to be Christians, right? Because they're Christians. Okay, that's what they are. They're aggressive Christians. Let me show you these aggressive Christians. That's what we're dealing with. Jason Whitlock is an aggressive Christian. Right? And they don't want to tell y'all this shit. That there's a such thing as an aggressive Christian. I'm gonna show y'all this shit. It's called the Aggressive Christian Missionary Church. That's what we dealing with. That's what we really dealing with. We really dealing with these aggressive Christians. The Aggressive Christianity Missionary Training Corps. They had to lock some of these aggressive Christians up. Because these motherfuckers crazy. Aggressive Christians, these motherfuckers is crazy. Shit. And look at this shit. Let's see if I can pull this shit up. Now, I'm sure I can pull this shit up. The aggressive Christians. I'm for real. Yo, the old woman, hell yeah. Her husband going around. Yeah, this thing is crazy. The aggressive Christian.
Christian Colt will spend the rest of her life behind bars for what she did to children on her compound near Gallup. In New Mexico, Christian Colt will spend the rest of her life behind bars for what she did to children on her compound near Gallup. News 13's Jackie Kent was at today's sentencing. She's live at District Court in Grants. Jackie.
Kim, Deborah Green led a cult called the Aggressive Christian Mission Training Corps. She called herself the General and dressed like one. Today, she was sentenced after one of her victims gave emotional testimony about what happened on that compound.
Emotionally, she broke me as a child to the point where I still today struggle with my own self-confidence, my self-esteem, my sense of worth.
She asked District Court Judge James Sanchez to give a maximum sentence of 108 years. Instead, he gave her
Yeah, this what y'all doing out here, man. Doing some shit. What y'all doing? This is what
72 for 3 counts of child rape and kidnapping and child abuse. At the start of the trial, it was revealed Green was accused of convincing her daughter to take a newborn baby from Uganda and brought that child back to the compound where the child was physically and sexually abused.
Wow, they were stealing children from Uganda. Oh shit.
Today, the judge had words of encouragement for the victim.
A weaker person would not have survived. You're a strong person. That means you can go on being strong.
The abuse came to light last year when authorities raided the compound in Fence Lake near Gallup and found 11 children, some of them as young as 4, being held against their will. Cibola County Sheriff's deputies found one child buried who had been dead at least 2 years. This after a former member came forward claiming she endured years of sexual abuse by Green and Green's son-in-law, Peter Green. CYFD and the Cibola 11 children taken from that compound are still in CYFD custody. Kim, back to you.
Jackie. Now, Green is still looking at another trial for a different charge. Another victim from the compound. Given the long sentence she was given today, the DA's office is deciding if they will take that case to trial. It was set to be.
Wow. So she's gonna commit so many crimes. Yeah. So if you become too Christian, you become demonic. And that is what we're starting to see. We're starting to see an idolatry of Christianity that's turning into a form of aggressive, demonic, social, constructive disorder. It's going to cause disorder because this is not true Christianity at all. This is when you're asking atonement from a grieving father about a cleat sharpener while you're letting Grace and Allison off for stabbing one kid to death in another high school during school hours. This is nasty work. You know, she better accept the plea. She better. All they're gonna do is throw her husband on the bus, though. That's all it's gonna do. Because he was out there too doing this shit. Aggressive Christians. And it was see, see,
Named as the general of the aggressive Christianity news, the man named as the general of the aggressive Christianity group in Cibola County is in jail tonight. We just went through the court documents and learned James Green is facing several felony charges, including kidnapping and abuse of a child. Green's wife was also arrested last week, along with 7 other church members. They're also charged against children.
that's nasty work. Nasty work. Yeah, out here just beating the damn kids up, talking about they Christians and shit. Aggressive Christians attacking children. And then there's another group called the NAR. The New Apostolic, it's called New Apostolic Reformation. That's another group that's coming. That's another group that's coming. And it's these demonic Jesus, it's these demonic Jesus worshipers. I'm telling you this cause they demonic Jesus worshipers. And like and Jason Whitlock falls up under these guys.
Or by self-proclaimed apostles with their own agenda. The new affirmation is sweeping through modern Christianity, promising revival, power, and miracle.
It's also called charisma or charisma preaching.
But is this truly from God, or is it a dangerous deception? Many believers are unknowingly caught up in it. Are you one of them? Let's test this movement against Scripture and uncover the truth. Have you ever heard of the New Apostolic Reformation, or NAR? It's a rapidly growing movement in modern Christianity, but many believers don't even realize they're part of it. Some say it's a revival of biblical truth. Others warn it's leading millions astray. But what exactly, and how does it compare to the teachings of the Bible? Let's find out. The New Apostolic Reformation is not an official denomination, yet it influences thousands of churches worldwide. It was popularized by C. Peter Wagner in the 1990s, teaching that modern-day apostles and prophets have been restored to the church with new revelations and supernatural authority. These lead that they are appointed by God to establish.
Hear that? Supernatural authority. Tell you religiously who should go to jail and who should jail.
Are appointed by God to establish his kingdom on earth by taking control over governments, media, businesses, and education. This is known as dominion theology, that Christians must rule the world before Christ can return. But is this what Jesus and his apostles taught? In John 18:36, Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, servants would fight." Yet the NAR pushes for political power and influence. Ephesians 2:20 tells us that the church was already built on the foundation of the saints, with Christ Jesus himself as the cornerstone. The Bible never says that new apostles would arise to lead the church into political conquest. Another major concern is AR's focus on miracles, visions, and personal prophecies, often placing these above the written word of God. Many NAR leaders teach that believers can become like Christ in power, healing the sick, raising the dead, and even declaring new revelations that come directly from God. However, the Bible warns about false prophets in Matthew 24:24, saying, "For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect." Many Christians are drawn to the entertainment-style worship, emotional experiences, and promises of power within the NAR. But the focus shifts away from Jesus and his sacrifice, instead elevating self-appointed apostles and their revelations. So, how can we if a church is influenced by the NAR? Does it teach apostles and prophets have supreme authority over the church? Does it emphasize miracles and supernatural experiences over the Bible? Does it promote political power to establish God's kingdom on earth? Does it preach a word of faith theology, claiming that speaking positive words creates reality? If so, then it may be influenced by the new apostolic. The Bible teaches that we are to test every spirit and hold fast to what is true. 1 John 4:1. As
Yep. So y'all stay vigilant to when you hear Whitlocks up here, they work for Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk and Glenn Beck, which are tied to TBN, larger networks of televangelists telling you about Christianity and God's plan for humanity. Be careful. There's a new apostolic reformation. I've known about this pretty heavy because I follow a lot of church stuff. But new apostolic and aggressive Christians are out here, and they with the shit. They're in politics. They're in law. They're in media. They're in all of this stuff. But they'll rather you just talk about Jews, though. Y'all have a blessing. Fight for it, Karmelo.